So I reached out to my followers on Instagram and I asked them if they are 30 years old or older, what advice they would have given their 20-year-old self. And these advices that they've given me are absolute gold. So I really, really wanted to share them with you. So I gathered 10 of their golden nuggets and I want to discuss them with you in this video. If you enjoy this type of video, make sure to follow, subscribe, and drop me a comment. Do you want to see more of these? And if you have any advice of your own, please make sure to drop them in the comments and let's make the comment section an extension of this video. That would be pretty cool. To give you some context here, I'm also over 30 and I have spent my entire 20s healing trauma, healing my childhood wounds, as one does. I gathered a ton of knowledge, especially in the trauma healing department, but I also gathered a lot of information and knowledge about confidence, about growing up, reparenting yourself and everything. And I would love to discuss that with you in another video if you're interested, but do let me know. In this video, I'm going to go over what my followers have messaged me in terms of advice that they would have given their 20-year-old self. Let's start with the first one. Wear the cute clothes you think you look fat in, because you don't look fat and they're cute. And I cannot stress this enough. In my 20s, I was so worried about how I looked, how other people would perceive me, and what other people would think of me if I would wear certain things. And I would always be on top of any trends. I would try to look, I would say, like skinny as possible, so no one would have anything to say about that. And also on top of that, I was really programmed to believe that my youth was valuable, my body was valuable, especially after the trauma that I went through. I really thought that my body was like everything that I owned and everything that was valuable about me. So thinking that I was fat was kind of a constant in my 20s. And up until the point where I started my healing journey, I would say. It is so sad, and I see it these days as well, especially on TikTok and Instagram. Skinny talk is back, you guys. You know, everyone's trying to get thin again, and that is so toxic. I spent my entire 20s worrying that I was too fat when I was extremely thin. And when I look back at pictures, I was like, this girl, I feel so sad for this girl, thinking that she actually, like, her quality of life was a lot lower because she worried so much about how she looked like, and she didn't want to wear certain clothes that I still fit into this day, by the way, because she thought that she was fat. I mean, the clothes are still intact because I didn't wear them. If you're in your 20s or in your 30s for that matter, or even older, and you're watching this video and you're thinking to yourself, like, I'm too fat, I need to be skinnier, I need to look a certain way, to wear a certain type of clothes, I want you to know that that is not true. It's just like your mind's taking up the information that we're being fed on a daily basis by social media and everything. We're being fed a certain narrative that we should not nourish our bodies and look a certain type of way in order to be a certain type of person and have a certain status, which is absurd. And I want you to know that is not true. That is absolute bullshit. This advice is absolute gold because it's absolutely true. And it is so sad that in your 20s, you're being manipulated to think that you need to look a certain way in order to fit into a certain group and fit a certain, I don't know, image, to fit a certain status. And that is so cruel because it really creeps up on you. And it is the most unhealthy thing ever. If you have cute clothes and you want to wear them, wear them. We're human beings. We have bodies, we have organs, we have flesh that covers those organs. We should be super grateful that we're healthy and happy and have everything that we need to live and have our loved ones. I don't know, your body, at least how it looks, or how it's different from someone else's body, is like the least of your worries. The second piece of advice is you're good at what you do and don't need to work yourself into the ground to prove it. And I agree, but I also disagree a little bit. I agree that you don't need to work yourself into the ground to prove it. It's super valid, but I do think that when you're in alignment with what you do, and I mean you're truly aligned with your purpose, and you need to look out for what is that purpose. Like, you need to figure it out for yourself. Everyone individually needs to do that. If you find that, you won't have to work yourself into the ground to prove that what you're doing is your purpose. But you may, like, if you feel like you're working your ass off and you're actually hustling, which, by the way, hustle culture is like also super toxic. I am all for successful people and I'm all for success. I'm also self-employed, and I would like, I love if my posts are successful, if my drops are successful. But the thing that, like, the difference between now and when I started my business in my 20s was that in my 20s I would work around the clock at the expense of my own health. And nowadays I am much more aligned with what I do. I know much better what I want to do and how I want to show up as, and what I want to offer to this world and to our community, and the knowledge I want to share with you, and the content that I want to share with you. It's much more clear, and by doing that and by doing work that I feel aligned with, I feel like I am not working my ass off anymore. I feel super free. I feel totally like I'm actually serving my purpose here. So that, I think if we can take that advice and add to it that search for what you feel most aligned with, search for your purpose and what you're here to do on this planet in this lifetime, and that way you won't have to prove anything to anyone. And I think that is the most solid advice that, like, this person is giving you, and I can add to that this little chunk of my own wisdom. I hope that's okay. The next advice is don't be afraid to walk away from those negative people. And I saw someone commenting as well, make sure to be financially stable, to get out of like toxic relationships and toxic environments. And I thought those two kind of were similar. That's why I also wanted to mention that. I want to say that the financially stable one, I think many people wait until they are like comfortable in their financial situation, where if they would leave, they can also manage to, survive for a few months or even a year or something. But sometimes you cannot just wait on that. And in my personal example, I went living on my own, and I had enough to make sure that I was able to rent the apartment that I was looking at. It was a very small apartment. If you've been here long enough, you have seen my apartment. It was super small, but I was so free, or at least a little bit more free. But I started to sense that freedom when I started to live on my own, and that was when I was able to start my healing process as well. And I had just enough to be accepted to rent the apartment. And that meant I had to have an advance for 3 months of rent, but that didn't mean that 3 months of rent were covered. That meant that those 3 months worth of rent had to be like on a separate account, that when I would eventually leave and there would be things in the apartment that broke, they would get it from the advance payments. And I think it's like more of a deposit or something, but I mean, we have to do this in Belgium. I don't know if it's similar in other countries, but I made sure that I had that. I had yet to figure out how I would cover next month's rent, but I had a call center job at the time, I think. So I had like a low income, but I was able to cover, I don't know what it was, like 500 euros of rent, because it was a super small apartment, and it's all I could afford on my own. So yeah, I would say don't wait until you're like fully financially stable, because I don't think that's a healthy way of thinking. If you're like really in a toxic environment and you have yourself or other people, like children that you have to look after, I think what comes first is your own safety, your children's safety, and you need to get out as soon as possible. You cannot wait until you have or until you can afford the same amount of luxury or even a similar amount of luxury. You just have to get out. Also, I really discovered when you reach out to kind people, many of them would love to help. I had friends who lent me their couch. I even slept at a friend's child's, in a friend's child's bedroom, like her child's bedroom. And I slept there for a few nights. I mean, times were hard back in the day, but eventually that's what brought me to my freedom. I really had to go through all that to get where I am today. Otherwise I would have been stuck in a cycle that would not benefit me at all. So I had to get out. I did everything that I could. I covered whatever needed to be covered, and then I just saw what happened from there. And I knew that eventually it would work out. I would do everything in my power to make it happen, and I trusted my own self. Thinking back, I don't think I trusted myself that much at the time, but looking back, it really, I mean, I really admire my younger self for going through everything that she went through and managing it all in her own way, not really knowing what she did back then, but yeah, eventually she did it anyway, and I'm really proud of her for that. But yeah, I wanted to mention the toxic environments one, and making sure that you're financially independent. I would always suggest anyone to be financially independent. That's my own opinion. Everyone can do whatever they want, but for me, I think that's I really stand by that principle. Make sure that you know how to be on your own. Make sure that you're filled with the knowledge that you need to live on your own. But also, let's talk about the advice. Don't be afraid to walk away from those negative people. In my 20s, I would give people a million chances. Like, I would stand by them and try to, stay hopeful for years for them to change, because that's kind of what I did also in my childhood. I really hoped that people would change, and even though bad things happened to me, and even though people were actually bad to do the things that they did, I really had hope, because in my core, I know I kind of felt like those people were programmed to love me. Like there's no way that they would like not love me, and even though they would do hurtful things. So I kind of, in my early 20s, I thought that love was supposed to be painful, and so I was surrounded by people who were very eager to hurt me, and I would keep my belief and my hopes up for them for longer than I should have. And I learned that that was not the way to go, and that was not the way love is like and love should feel like. So if I'm surrounded by negative people, I communicate openly about what is bothering me, and I would still, like, of course, I would still give them chances, but if I would feel that these people would drag me down, I would distance myself from them, and unapologetically, I need to, I need to protect my own peace, and that is really important. And you will probably see for yourself that some relationships just don't last, just because, you know, and I think I read this somewhere or someone explained this to me, but imagine like this line, like in my case, I had this childhood, I was like in a low level of energy, and then I met people along the way, like I would say, I think most of my relationships started, and meant also friendship, like deeper friendship level relationships started in school, but also like after school, like early adulthood. And those stayed for a little while, and after a while, I grew, or those people grew, and I didn't grow with them at the time. And so those relationships fell off. And then I met new people at that level, and then I grew, and those relationships fell off. And that's all okay. Like, we're all growing, and if people don't grow with you, sometimes you can, you have to leave them behind if it starts to get really negative and toxic. And the other way around too, like if I went through I went through what I went through, and I understand that some people have left me because of of me being super occupied with the healing process that I went through. And probably, for me it's all a blur, but I fully understand that relationships with negative people, or if you're going through something that some people cannot really welcome in their own life, relationships fade and some relationships stay. Like I have relationships with friends that I've known for, like, my best friend, I've known him for 8-9 years, and he always he stuck by my side every year, every period of my life. He stuck by me, and that's amazing. Some relationships do last, and how do you say that? Like, some weather all the storms, and that's beautiful. And you need those people in your life. And there are very few people who will stick by your side through literally every storm. But having those people in your life, like, it's something to be super grateful for, and I truly am. And people who walk away from like the tiniest bit of inconvenience are people that you're better off without. The next piece of advice is look after your body. It's the only one you get. I love this. I knew also, obviously I know who this was coming from, and I just want you to know I'm so proud of you. I love this advice from you. But yes, you need to look after your body because it's the only one you get. And that is so true. In my 20s personally, like early 20s, I was, as I mentioned, I was so focused on my body and keeping my body in a certain type of way. And I had a toxic fitness routine. I would work out 6 times a week. I would be in the gym every day, except for Sundays, I think. Yeah, every day except for Sundays, I would go to the gym. And even on Sundays sometimes, I still remember being there like in the weekend. Like I think I had like one time, like one day in a week that I wouldn't go. And I was very obsessive, and that's not healthy either. You need to nourish your body in the most healthy way, but working out is not a bad thing. I still work out. I think it's super important because there were times that I didn't work out. And for example, during COVID, like during the pandemic, you weren't allowed to work out. But also, there was a time before that where I was diagnosed with so many things that weren't accurate, like misdiagnosis as well. Because eventually I did have, like, I was diagnosed with PTSD, CPTSD, excuse me, depression, anxiety disorder, and OCD. And to this day, I still have like remnants of those things. Obviously, those things last a lifetime. Thanks to the wonderful gifts I call my childhood. Those things will last a lifetime, and those symptoms or some symptoms or remnants will always like linger, and sometimes things will get triggered, and I know that. But I also know how important it is that I need to take good care of my body and also my mental health. So I still work out, I still nourish my body in the right way, and I also look into the most natural approach to take care of my own self. And I mean, I look into the benefits of certain teas, I look into the benefits of certain supplements, I look into what I can do to make my skin healthy, because I had tons of skin issues, and especially in my 20s. Oh gosh, you've been there, right? You've seen it all. Yeah, man, that was terrible. I went through so many terrible things, and I know it's mainly because my body was under so much stress and under so much yeah, it was just constantly in inflammation mode, I guess. Like I was puffy, I was bloated, I gained weight at times, my skin was terrible. And so your body being in inflammation is a result of a lot of stress, tons of histamine, and sometimes certain foods that also trigger making more histamine in your body. And yeah, I can ramble about this for hours, I'm telling you, but it is so important. Like in my 30s, I cannot tell you, I want to stay out of the medical, like the modern medical system as much as I can. And I want to treat my body in the healthiest way. And I just look into the most natural approach to be able to achieve that. Even though I'm very grateful that we're living in modern times where medical treatment is being offered, and I also live in a European country where medical treatment is basically like super cheap in comparison to other parts of the world. I do also feel that when you're in like getting into that system, that sometimes, and in my case, when I was misdiagnosed and was given medication to treat certain things that like wasn't even my issue, that kind of made me a bit wary and made me this like just figure out how to do things in a more natural and healthier way, especially since I didn't need the medication anyway. So yeah, I solved things in my own body. Like literally, I solved my own irritable bowel syndrome that I did have, by the way. I did have that because I just was so stressed out. I was so inflamed. But I fixed that by looking into the root cause of these things that no one was able to help me with, or no one wanted to help me with. And I'm very certain that some doctors that I saw were really aware of the root cause of the irritable bowel syndrome symptoms, I guess. But yeah, I can really ramble about this for hours, but I'm not going to do that. I just want to say it is super important to look after your body, but it is also super important to just make sure that you have all the knowledge that you need to have to treat your body in the best way possible for your own self, tailored to your own body, because we're all different, but we're also kind of the same in a way. And I feel like since we're natural beings, I think our baseline could be like the natural approach. And then, of course, when we need more medical treatments, we thankfully have that. But I think the basics need to be, you need to look after and feel your own body and look for what suits you best. And for me, I love my teas. I also love my coffee. I know that's not as healthy as a tea, but I love my teas. I love my supplements. And yeah, I even looked for water that tasted well. And I drink much more water now that I found the water that tasted best for me. And I know that sounds really terrible, but I am absolutely sure that your body reacts to the minerals that it's craving. So, okay, enough about that. To the other piece of advice. This is totally for another video. If you're interested in that, just let me know. But for now, I'm going to stop about that. For I'm going to spend this entire video on this subject. So, next piece of advice. I love this. The best moment to start something you like, maybe 10 years ago, but it is also now. Do it. Yes, this is like seize the moment, carpe diem. I would say I'm almost 9 years self-employed. Wait, let me... No, 8. No, 8. Yeah, no, 8. I'm almost 8 years self-employed. So this piece of advice is like a solid. If I were today, let's say today, I'm working on things that are very new to me. I'm making these YouTube videos. I haven't been on YouTube for ages because I didn't feel comfortable, because I didn't feel like I was the person that I feel is most me. In the past couple of years especially, I was really looking for a deeper version of myself, because I did feel like I have grown so much, but even like in the past 3 years, I feel like I have grown into who I am destined to be. And that is just beautiful. But do I feel like in the past 8 years, I was really just figuring it out and winging it as I went? Absolutely, yes. I feel like the past 10 years are mostly trials and errors. And if today I'm starting something new, I feel like that's going to be a trial and error again until it succeeds. And I'm just going to go with the trials and errors as they come and pivot along with them. Even if you started something 10 years ago, it doesn't mean that today you won't be starting anything new and exploring other things, even though you started what you wanted to start 10 years ago. Like in my case, I started my business 8 years ago, and today I'm still trying out new things. So, and that's a constant. You're constantly going to try out new things. So why not start today? Because it doesn't mean that you're 10 years behind on someone else. And even like the comparison game, you shouldn't do that. Don't do the comparison game, because if I want to compare myself to other people, in some areas other people are far more ahead than I am, and I may be far more ahead to some other people in other, like on other subjects or other parts of my life. But you're constantly in life, you're going to constantly do new things and explore new things, explore new paths on the things that are already existing. And it is beautiful. It's a beautiful journey. So if you want to do something, just start today, figure it out as you go, pivot wherever you need to pivot, or just go where it's leading you. And it's such a beautiful thing to do. If you want to start something, do it. It is never too late. And absolutely, was it the best? Was the best period like in I don't know 2010 to start a YouTube channel? Absolutely. Was there YouTube in 2010? I'm not sure. Probably there was already, but yeah, absolutely. It was the best time in 2010 to start a YouTube channel, but today is also the best day. This is the second best day to start a YouTube channel, so do it. But this can go for anything, you guys. It can go for even your confidence in yourself. You can, at any given time, you can decide to be the person that you want to be, to show up as the person that you want to be, that you feel most aligned with. So I would say absolutely the best time was 10 years ago, but the second best time is now. So do it. Solid advice. The next piece of advice is stop worrying about what other people think of you. It takes up so much wasted time. Just be yourself. Oh my God, yes. Solid advice. Again, every piece of advice here in this video is so solid, but I love this. I have spent so much time worrying about what other people thought of me, even when I wasn't like feeling fully myself. So I was worrying about what other people thought of me when I wasn't even like feeling fully myself, which is absurd. And even if you feel like eventually when you feel like fully yourself, it won't bother you what other people think of you, because you will be so aware of the fact that if those people don't like you, they at least don't like you for who you truly are. And that means that those are not your people, so you can be bothered by them. So eventually it really is wasted time. When I was worried about what other people thought, it made absolutely no sense, because who I wasn't even who I felt like I wanted to be, or who I was destined to be, or who I was supposed to be. And then eventually when you grow up to be the person or become the person who you are destined to be, you just can't be arsed with them anymore. It just is so much wasted time. And I want to add to that, because in this day and age, we constantly scroll on Instagram and TikTok and compare ourselves to other people. And also when we post things, we constantly think about like, what will other people think of me? And we need to be so aware of the fact that everyone's like minding their own business these days. And I want to even go further on that, and maybe unpopular opinion or not, but many people these days are so self-indulged, they don't even care about what other people are doing anymore. And even if it's cringy or I don't know, like, many people are watching me, many people who probably wouldn't even say hi on the street anymore to me, they're still watching me. Why would I care? Why would I care about people who really spend their time watching my life to discuss it, I don't know, with their friends or with someone we knew, I don't know. Why would I bother with that? I think I would much rather live my life being happy, doing my own thing, being successful doing my own thing, than having to worry about, what other people think, or how other people perceive me, or what their opinions are about me, because I know who I am, who I truly am, and I stand behind that for 100%. And that's, you just gotta be yourself, and you have to surround yourself with people who truly love you for who you are. And all the time wasted on someone else's life, someone else's opinions, someone else's, I don't know, how someone else perceives you. I really agree with this advice. It is so much wasted time. And I wish I scrolled a little less, because I sometimes still catch myself doom scrolling as well. And I really want to stop that. But, you know, you just gotta be kind to yourself. And something that I don't do is compare myself to other people. And I absolutely love that about my grown up self, is that I stopped comparing myself. Because it leads nowhere. It's, in fact, indeed, wasted time. The next one is spend less time focusing on the comfort of others at the expense of yourself. This one, yeah. Man. Yes. Yes. Spend less time focusing on the comfort of others at the expense of yourself. Man, I cannot tell you the amount of times that I would put myself aside just to please other people. I would put myself in a lesser position, or I would use self-deprecating humor so other people would laugh. And I would do this as a child as well, just to ease the tension at home. And I grew up doing that, and later in my adulthood, early adulthood, I still did that. I would put myself on the back burners just so other people would feel more comfortable. Don't do that. Surround yourself with people you feel comfortable with. Think about yourself. Do I want to be surrounded by those people? Not, will those people be happy with my presence? Nah. Stop that. Just think about, do I want to be surrounded by those people? It is your life. You need to decide who you want to be surrounded with. And if those people stress you out, if you feel like you have to be, you know, the class clown just to be accepted in a group, it is not your group. It is not your type of people. So don't do that. Stop doing that. Make sure that you live a life, even though, like, I spent a big chunk in solitude, just appreciating my own presence. And I have to tell you that in that period, I figured out that I'm actually a very cool person to be with. And I have never felt more at ease and more at peace just being by myself and not being surrounded and not having to put up an act or put on, you know, a mask or come up with jokes so other people would want to stick with me for the remainder of the day or the remainder of the conversation, or they would be like entertained in a way. I would do that so much. Like, if I feel tension, I would probably tell a joke. That's like, humor is a coping mechanism in a way, or it can be used as a coping mechanism. And I figured it out the hard way. But honestly, no. Man, this is such solid advice. I really love you guys. I am so grateful that my followers are such cool and wise people. And I can tell that you've probably been through a lot as well. And you have learned so much too. And I'm so proud of you. I mean, thank you. Thank you for actually answering this question sticker on my Instagram stories, because when I read those answers, I was like, those are the people I want to be surrounded with. And even though you're online, we're online, I feel like I have never felt more connected to a group of people than the ones who are following me on Instagram, who I talk to on my Discords, who are on my Patreon. By the way, my patrons, I just want to put this out here. If you love this type of content, if you love my art, if you appreciate what I do, or you like the vibe, join me on Patreon. I will leave the link in the description box. You should join. I always love to welcome more of these like-minded people, and I would love to meet you. I would love to talk to you. I always take out time to talk to you and try to be as active as possible on any platform that I'm on. So yeah, come chat, come join my Patreon. I would absolutely love that. Okay, next one. And I think I mentioned this, like I have deja vu that I already said this in this video. But the next one is protect your peace. And yes, if you feel like this aching tension in your chest, if you feel like you're not being safe with these people or with the people that you're surrounded with, or you feel like there's tension, or you feel like your peace is just not there, it's just not that present anymore. And I truly felt this, like in comparison to when I was alone and I felt peace, and then I was with certain people and I felt that I really had to fight for that peace, or I had to do an extra effort to protect it. Otherwise, I felt like it would be taken away. Then I became so aware that those people were not the right people for me anymore, or never were. I don't know. But yeah, man, protect your peace. It is so important. I really don't have any much more to say about that. But it is solid advice. It needs to be said. It needs to be highlighted. You need to protect your peace at all time, whatever it costs. If it costs you a relationship that you're in and that person is not bringing you peace, I would say, first of all, communication is key. In any relationship, communication is key. And I would always first talk to this person and say, like, is anything wrong? Can I do anything? Is there something we need to work on? Things like that. Communication is key in any relationship. But that's also protecting your peace. I don't say, like, if you feel uncomfortable or, of course, uncomfortable, like, if you really feel uncomfortable, you need to walk out. But if you feel like you're in a relationship, or there's a friend relationship that you're struggling with, first of all, communication is key, because oftentimes things are solved by communicating in a healthy way, and in an honest way too. But it is so important, like, if things don't change, or if things get super toxic, or toxic in general, I mean super toxic. If things get toxic, you need to do what you need to do. And if that means leaving some people behind, then that's what it means. If it means leaving a certain lifestyle behind, then that's what that means. So do whatever. Like, I would always say, I hope that didn't disrupt the audio. Anyway, I always say, if you're in this place right now, just take the next best step forwards and do what feels good in your body. Just listen to your body. It is so, like, your body is giving you signals. Your body is leading you in life, and you need to just listen to it. Tune into that. Tune into the energy that you need to lead the life that you really desire. And I mean, I truly believe that. And some people will think that I'm like a woo-woo type of person, thinking that everything's energy, because everything is energy. I mean, I just want to say, yeah, protect your peace. Listen to your body, listen to your gut. It gives you so many signals, and it is always right. I have to tell you, your gut is always right. If you feel disgusted by a person, if you feel like it nauseates you, and those are like clear signals, but sometimes it's just like something's off. Something's off. And then, of course, like in my case, um, I needed to separate like the trauma reaction with the actual gut feeling. That's kind of hard, but that's where meditation comes in. And I think, oh my God, I'm going to go on a tangent again. But yeah, I would say yes, protect your peace. And now I'm going to go and jump to the other piece of advice. The next piece of advice says, don't listen to people who say you can't do it. And I cannot stress this enough. If I would have listened to everyone who said, don't dream too big, don't become self-employed, it's too much of a risk, you will not be happy, you will not stop working a day in your life anymore, like for the rest of your days, if you would become self-employed. And you know, all those horror stories about going bankrupt and taking huge risks and losing everything, failing. I mean, I was so scared when I became self-employed because of all those people who said I could not do it. I had absolutely no knowledge whatsoever of being self-employed. I had no one. I was not surrounded by anyone who knew a thing or two even about having a business or creating a business, maintaining and building a successful business. I had no one. So I had just people around me who said that I should not do it. And I am so happy I did not listen, because even though I do have the feeling that I never stop working, I also have, like, at the same time, I have the feeling that I am never working, because I'm just doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm doing what I feel most aligned with. I'm doing what makes me happy. And I was so unhappy in previous jobs that I would never want to go back to a life like that. I would never want to go back to a 9 to 5 where I felt super unhappy for 8 hours a day, but I only worked like 8 hours a day. And nowadays I work sometimes from 8 in the morning until 10 in the evening, but also at the same time I'm not working, but I am working because I'm drawing. But it's also still my hobby, and I love doing everything that has to do with my business. I mean, what is a perfect life then? I would say I'm leading the perfect life in my honest opinion. And all those people who said that it would be too much of a risk and I shouldn't do it and I shouldn't be self-employed, I would say they were wrong. Yeah, they were wrong, because my life and in my personal experience, this is what I want to do, and this has always been what I wanted to do. So I needed to do this. And no one should have had like that opinion where there would have been a chance, like if I would have listened to them, I would have had a chance that I did not do it and I would not be here today. Like, there is probably a timeline where that has happened, that I wouldn't take on the opportunity or take the risk and listen to those people. And damn, I would have regretted it so much. And by saying don't listen to people who say you can't do it, I don't mean don't listen to solid advice, because I do think that thanks to people helping me and people coming to me with their solid advice and their knowledge about the life that I wanted to create for myself, by listening to them, I also grew. So I would say separate the haters or the people who say that you cannot do it with the people who come with solid advice, who really stand by you and your choices, and who want to see you grow and see you bloom and see you succeed in your life and business. This also counts for relationships. Like you will stumble upon a lot of opinions if you are finding yourself surrounded by the people that you feel most aligned with. But then the hate will come from the people who were there when you were at a lower level probably. So there will be a lot of hate as you grow, and I don't mean hate as in blatantly like obvious hate. I mean people who say you can't do it, people who say like don't be with that person, people who say don't engage in those friendships because those people are like stuck up or something, or they feel better than anyone else. And those opinions will come from the people that you have probably met at a lower level of your being, or like I'm not saying that those people are lower level, but those people are used to you at a lower level, and as you grow, those people will feel frightened that you will grow out of them. And that's a very common thing that I have experienced a lot in throughout my 20s and into my 30s. But distinct the fear that is not your own and the opinions that are not your own from what your own body and your own system tells you to do and to move towards. And eventually that's where the advice comes from an earlier advice that one of my followers has entered, is when I mentioned that if relationships get toxic, that's where communication comes in. Communication is important in any relationship, as I mentioned before. But when you feel that they become toxic, like when people would tell you that you shouldn't engage in certain relationships, or that you shouldn't be taking certain steps moving forwards because they feel threatened by it. If that becomes toxic, that's when you should communicate. Like those are the scenarios that are actually happening for people who are growing up, or people who are becoming more successful, people who are finding their own true self. And you will deal with things like that. And unfortunately, some of those people will become toxic presences. Toxic presence. Anyway, will become toxic influences. I don't know. Toxic relationships in your life, and that's when you need to really step into that communication. And if that doesn't help, then you really need to make a decision. Like keeping those people at a distance will be very important, or especially making sure that those people don't get to you personally anymore. Will be super important for your future growth as well, because you really need to stand firm, believe in yourself, and not let anyone with their toxic opinions or their toxic remarks get to you to the level where you wouldn't be taking steps forward anymore. You cannot be held back by people who don't want to see you grow. And then the last piece of advice, so beautiful, needs to be underlined. Don't be afraid of being yourself ever. You matter. And damn, that is so true. Don't be afraid of being yourself ever. Just show up every single time. And I listened to a book this week, and it was, I don't know if I will be able to rephrase it exactly without my notes, but they mentioned, it was by Joe Dispenza. I love Joe Dispenza. He said that there's a timeline, there's a past timeline, there's a future timeline, and then there is the predictable future based on the present yeah, based on the presence, where if you're now acting out of fear for the future, like you're taking into account the predictable future, the one that you already feel like is happening based on your past. So in your presence, you're actually taking into account and doing everything that you're used to based on the past. And if you're doing exactly as you've always done, you will become what is predicted or is predictable. But if you're in the present and you're being your true self, you're being aligned, you're doing everything that you need to be doing, that you feel your best self with every single time. Like right now, I'm being my highest self. And then in 10 seconds from now, I'm being my highest self. And your brain is actually programmed to pull your back to that same routine that we have learned throughout our entire lives, because that's actually the baseline that we're already so used to. But if we constantly are being our best and our highest self, and we do every single step of the way what we feel truly aligned with, that is also who we become. We will become the person that we feel most in touch with, that we are destined to become. Yeah. um, we will do what we came on this earth here to do, and that is the most beautiful thing ever. I feel like that's how you can truly show up as being yourself. And I practice this so much, and that's also why I meditate. That's also why I exercise, because that's also kind of meditation. That's also why I journal. I spend so much time getting to know myself and getting to know my purpose, and then digging deeper, and then figuring out more and learning more. And that's how you level up, I guess. And I've been doing that since my 20s, since I actually was rock bottom, and now I'm here, and I'm super proud of that. But I had to really learn and discover who I truly am, who I truly was, and especially also what I came here to do. And I have always felt like making comics, making my web comics on Planet Prudence, they mattered so much to me, and they mattered so much to everyone else. And then I lost touch with it, because I felt like I didn't feel really aligned with the message that I was spreading anymore. That I mean, like the self-deprecating humor that I didn't really feel aligned with anymore, because it was more so a coping mechanism at first. And then I moved into like the empowerment, and I started talking about trauma and everything. And there were topics like PTSD that I brought up. But then I became like a bit shy about that, and I didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings. But I also put myself on the back burner, because I wanted to stay silent to comfort other people. And that is definitely not what I feel aligned with. I really want to be here and help others and share my own knowledge and my own processes with you guys, so that you feel, first of all, less alone, and maybe it will help you in a way, so you wouldn't have to go through the journey that I have to go through, being a decade-long journey of trials and errors, trying to figure out what was happening to me and how I could get out of that, and how I could get to my true self, the person that I feel most aligned with, and doing in life what I feel I'm most aligned with, and what my purpose is. So yeah, this was probably a hell long video, but I hope you enjoyed it. These were the 10 pieces of advice that my followers have shared with me on my Instagram account, which is Planet Prudence. You can also find the links in the description box. I will share all of them. I also have a Discord. Come join me if you want to. I have a Patreon. I really want you to be a part of that awesome community. It is free from hate. It is super wholesome. People are super lovely. Yeah, there's absolutely no way that you can miss out on that, because the internet in the world itself is a very challenging place nowadays, and I really want to create a place where everyone is seen and everyone feels important and everyone feels valued. And that's what I want to create on the internet. And I also want to create a place where we can feel safe. So yeah, that's what I'm up to. If you want to see more of these videos, do also let me know in the comments if you have advice of your own that you want to share. If you're in your 30s or 40s or whatever age you are and you have any advice for the younger generation, please drop them in the comments. I think we need to make more of these videos, and yeah, really share knowledge with each other, because I do think that we need to really combine forces and create a better world. So yeah, that's what I'm going to try and do as well. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!